Previously on Gears.
What you got there, Disi?
Today on my Disi's Double D's, we are chatting to Bevan Cullinan, who's also known as the very entertaining Gary the Tooth Fairy. This man is so talented. He's able to transform from characters in The Matrix to Transformers to the Black Swan, and then, of course, finishes off on a bed of petals in American Beauty. Hi, Bevan. Welcome to Gears on Balls Visual Radio.
You're very kind. Thank you so much.
I like what you did there, Disi, with a transform.
Yeah.
I like
So
what you did
clever.
there. Very clever.
Guys, I watched the advert last night. My brother and my boyfriend were in tears when it finished. We had to go back about 5 times and watch you on that bed of petals.
So you got a PVR then?
Yes.
Fancy.
Yeah, very fancy. We pay too well here. I think so.
Yeah.
Sure.
Bevan, it's so good to see you, but you have done so many amazing things over the years.
Yeah, it's just that kind of stuff happens when you're trying to pay your bills off a drama degree. So then you act sometimes in the camera. Just been directing stuff, and then sometimes, like now, I get to stand in front of the camera as well. Then I don't have to kind of explain for very long periods of time to an actor what we need to do. I just stand there and then. But the character's been made around me, so it's easy.
Yeah, I mean, well, let's go back a few steps, to where it all started with, and then why all of a sudden you are now
it was
taking over the airwaves, because, God, do we need it.
Yeah, well, there's not much to laugh about recently.
No, there's plenty.
There's plenty to laugh
Well, for the wrong
But
reasons.
for the wrong
Yeah,
reasons,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I look in way back in 2009. Mnet's and their they're one of their agencies that works for them. It does all their kind of on-air logos and stuff called Clearwater. Came to me and said, "We've got this idea for an ad where there's this fairy locked in a garden and can't get into the house because everyone's watching TV and he needs him to go to sleep." And I was like, yeah, I don't know if I can make it funny. We need to make this fairy really rough, not prancy, because I can't make that funny.
Is he from the south?
Well, no. His accent's kind of emerged between Cape Town and PE.
Okay.
Which is why
Hey.
you thought
Sorry,
maybe it
carry
was
on. Yeah.
But anyway, so I started writing the scripts, and I said the easiest way to write a script is to imagine someone famous in like Hollywood or someone doing it. So I wrote it for Jack Black.
Yeah.
That every time I sold a script to Mnet, they'd be like, yeah, that's funny. Wow. But they got used to the way I said the line. So when we had the castings, we cast over and over and over again. We had 3 big castings. 3 days before the shoot day, Mnet was like, "You're doing it." I was like, "No, I'm not." They were like, "Yes, you are." I was like, "Okay." And then it was popular. And then number 2 came, number 3 came, number 4, then the CSI stuff. And then it kind of went to bed. And they contacted me a couple of times about resuscitating the character. But I think now the time was right. It was just enough. It was like 3 years. But it had to be a version 2.0. He had to kind of grow a pair of nuts, change his outfit. And he was not obsessed over teeth anymore. He's now going, "Is it? I can also do that." So, chucky move, basically.
It's hysterical. It's freaking hysterical.
But I think one of the reasons is because South Africans laugh very specifically. I've just noticed on the Gary Facebook fan page and even on Twitter, people are using the link to boast to expats and say, it's not all bad, or this is what a South African ad looks like. And I think that's why people respond to it, because I've shot a lot of commercials for international clients, and I've shot overseas. There is no ways that you can use the poster child of a campaign as a means to slag off the product he's advertising.
Yeah,
It's only
yeah.
in this kind of multiple kind of viewed scenario. We've just got a very specific kind of funny, I suppose. And then one of the reasons why he's so physical like that is because we've got broad age groups and broad cultural backgrounds and race, and then what happens is he becomes kind of squishy, round and pokey. It doesn't kind of come down to making that ad where you've got to have one white dude, a black dude, a colored person, and someone in a wheelchair, And then
Were you apprehensive when they called you again and said, "Okay, well now we want to refire it up"?
Yeah, I was worried that people wouldn't care, and already, when the launch thing went on, people thought that was the new ad, but it was trying to get everyone on the same page, and they were like, "Yeah, I like your new ad." I'm like, no, you don't understand. It's going to get really grotesque very soon, because I'm lying half naked in a bed of roses, and it's not as morantic as Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the actual ad. Should we watch it first?
I think let's watch it,
Yeah, let's
so
watch
that
it.
then we can get some perspective. So hopefully you're watching. Otherwise, it is on our Balls page as well. So go to the Gears page, and there it is. This is the brand new Gary the Tooth Fairy
Mnet,
Gary
Mnet
Net.
series. And
It's
Dude, you're a legend.
that's what
It's
naked large
magnificent.
pink men look
Oh
like.
my word! I
It's-
love that ending.
But are you directing it as well?
Yeah, well, so what we do, so I write the scripts, and what I made a rule of no movies pre 1990 because I was trying to make it relevant to the last 23 years, and also things that I knew that I could do. The original shortlist was about 30 movies. I got so many other ideas, but what would happen is like you'd have a certain kind of genre movie, and then you'd have two others, and you choose what's the best one visually to do. Because I knew they were just gonna be like 2-3 seconds. But the way we directed is I get an extra who's similar height, shoulder width, and size. He gets put there. We light it, get everything together, make it all cool, and then there's another guy who walks around with a wireless monitor the whole day following me. So at any given point, I could just stop. I keep him on his guard. I just stop and I turn. I go, "Where's the monitor?" And then here it is. And then I could be looking at nothing. I could be looking at where the camera is pointing. So that's how we do it. I do a couple of takes, and then I think I'm rubbish, and then I do a couple of more, and then I think maybe I've got it, and then I go back, look at playback, and go, "We've got it. Let's go on to the next one." And that's how we shoot it.
Sure.
That's so awesome.
But you'll see in the making of, which we'll release in about a week. I'll hashtag @ballsradio.
Hashtag.
You'll see like how the massive operation. I mean, there's a crew of like 40-50 people. There's 5 big massive trucks. There's just a lot of gear, a lot of lights to create those looks. I mean, you're not really seeing it because it's a low codec on YouTube, and obviously YouTube is dumbing it down because it realizes we're on a South African bandwidth. But if you actually look at the raw material when you look at it on TV, I think they're going to play the behind the scenes as an EPK. You'll definitely see it. You'll see that the volume and the amount of people. Because I mean, I don't want to just sit here and go, "Yeah, I'm Kev." There's an entire massive team, like from the people who built all the costumes, the guys who manufactured the Transformers outfit, to the guys who do all the CG. I mean, I'm just standing there on a chroma studio. They're completely replacing a floor.
Brilliant.
They put a whole flamingo, clever.
So
Very clever.
So now you got the making that's going to come out, as you say, as an EPK kind of format.
Yeah.
Where to now?
I don't know. They were like, "Make this ad," and I was like, "Cool, I'll do it." Me personally, life goes on. I'm pitching for the glamour, coffee creamer ads, and various other things.
Do you see? This is what I was about. I was actually going to ask you about this because isn't it strange? I mean, we've been doing radio for 15 years or whatever, and there was one particular rather ridiculous, probably hungover skit which we did, which people often come up to us and go, "Ha ha ha! You did that skit." And I kind of look at you in the same light. I kind of go, a lot of people must come up to you and go, "Hey, you're the Tooth Fairy."
Well,
Isn't that like a bit frustrating?
no, it was worse when I was Norm because that I looked like I looked on TV. It's different because I put that. That's a story as well. I specifically put that hat on Gary when they said to me 3 days before shoot day, "Please, can you do it?" This was in 2009. I said yes, but to cover myself because I shoot comedy and I go into ad agencies and I say, "This is how I'm going to make your ad funny. This is what we're going to do." Blah blah blah. I was very nervous because I didn't know whether people would like him or care if I made the ad.
Yeah.
So I was worried that if I was going to go into the ad agencies, that they'd be like, "Yeah, but you were in your own ad and you couldn't make it funny." So I put the hat on to at least try and protect some kind of anonymity. So even when I was at Pinky Fest on Saturday, there'd be people like around me and bookers and stuff going, "Do we know when Gary's around? Do we know Gary's?" I'm standing right next to him. I go, and I would make a joke. I go, "Yeah, he'll be in 2 hours." And I go, does anyone have a contact number for him? I'm like, "Yeah, it's," and then I have to say it's me. And then they go, "Is that hair real? Is that, that kind of thing." So some people recognize that kind of the people who know who I am, but a lot of people, I can still at least go and buy it's not like you guys.
Don't look at me.
Yeah.
Bevan, you've got a very successful film company. You've alluded to it a couple of times now. You do ads, etc. Just to tell us a bit about that because it's something that's growing and growing and growing, and you seem to be doing very well with it.
Yeah, look, I don't own the company. I'm more like a kind of what's like in a law firm. I'm like
A partner.
I'm not even a partner. Let's put it to you this way: if the company goes down, I don't go down with it.
Right.
But I've got profit share on jobs that I shoot.
Awesome. Okay.
So, but as far as that goes, as far as my shooting film career goes, I'm sitting on a couple of scripts that I'm dying to shoot, but I made a promise to myself about 5 or 6 years ago that I wasn't going to shoot a full-length feature film again unless I had all the distribution in place. I don't. No one cares. It's the technology these days is so advanced that we can actually go and shoot a film on our phones now. We can. We've proven it. I shot a commercial recently for DSTV called Social Media. There's a section of the film where we're actually filming off a phone, and we've got a master camera filming this guy filming a girl on a phone, and we've extracted that footage off the phone and off the phone, not just foam, and it plays on air, and it holds perfectly. But you can make a film that, whether you're going to get it distributed or people are actually going to go and watch it or even care, is a whole nother story. Right when the first campaign broke, there were a lot of people going, "Oh, you got to shoot a Gary the Tooth Fairy movie, it'll be hilarious." And yeah, it might, but at what cost, and who's going to lose the cash? So like I've been watching. Maybe I'm a little bit too careful, I don't know. Maybe I'll be having the same conversation in my 50s, but I think that you're right. There's a lot. I think the other side of the fence, on the parastatal side of the fence, that they've woken up, and the assistance and the tax rebates are getting a little bit better, and people are being able to make films now. On the Afrikaans film market side, there's a lot of films that are being made, but if you consider this is the only region in the world that makes Afrikaans films, so you've got a captive market. So it's not that I'm wanting to kind of make a film to go for a specific market. I've got to still be able to make a film that I know I can make it funny as a priority. But once you've made it, I just don't want it to end up on a DVD, and it's like at Christmas time you go, "Yeah, look what I made," and everyone goes, "Yeah, cool." That's all.
But I mean, you bring up such a pertinent point. Yeah, with the parastatals, this, that, and whatever. But we do have a fundamental problem in the country in terms of distribution, because you get one of the guys who will buy in and they'll say, "Okay, we'll put it out in 40 different cinemas, etc., etc." But getting it past there is the problem.
Yeah.
There's some great internationally made movies,
Yeah.
Made by South African filmmakers that are here, which they're just not getting past our own borders.
The reason for that, the main reason for that, is that there's no vested interest from the distribution outside of our borders.
Yeah.
And the best way to get that vested interest is you get them to invest in the movie before it's made. Because the minute you get them to pay money, they're going to want that money back. And it just motivates them to work a little harder and to get an angle. We're currently talking to some people in Europe at the moment, but there's this also we found when our representatives came back from Cannes, is that there is this perception, unfortunately, that's laced a little bit with this kind of slight mistrust of the continent, but I think that people who are of kind of remote South African descent, like Neil Blomkamp, and even what's people like the Antwoord and various other entities have done. People about 5-6 years ago, just prior to World Cup, thought, South Africa's flavour of the month. Somehow we've sustained it. Like, people know who we are. They don't just know us for the obvious reasons. They know us for other things now as well. And I don't know. It's one of those things where if this country on every single industry level just keeps kicking the ball in the direction that it's going, without this ridiculous interference that comes from various entities and people, forcing people's hands through trying to correct the past and all that kind of stuff. If people just did well, South Africans are hard workers. Something's got to give somewhere. It can't just be,
Sure.
There's
Great
Australian
point.
movies like The Castle that was made about 10 years ago. The Castle was shot in 10 days. It's one of the, you look at budgets, for example, on small movies like Napoleon Dynamite. It's proven you don't need 100 million US, because you just need a really, really good script that's relevant thematically.
100%. Wow. Very, very cool.
I like that.
But
Like you, yeah.
so you're making. Are you still doing some stand up?
A little bit. I don't know. Maybe I just don't have.
You're so good at it as well, though.
Nah, I don't know. I was working Maybe it's because I was like working 5-6 nights a week, and I was then still having to try and pull a 14-15 hour day during the daytime. The fascination of driving all the way to Brakpan and go through a toll gate and then kind of talk to drunk people who'd like throw a half glass of whiskey at me kind of was losing its luster.
But the Grahamstown Fest,
I don't know
that's- that must be cool. You did there?
No.
No.
I went to the Grahamstown Festival. I did a thing with Rob Van Vuuren in 2010, but that was just a bucket list thing because that's my old stomping ground.
Yeah.
And it was nice watching Rob sweat and putting posters up again. But I don't know. No, I don't think so. Look, I mean, it bites me every single time. Like now we've just done this, and I'm standing in front of the camera again, And I'm like, oh man, I should have done it. But it's one of those things where you want to clone yourself and go, right, here's Bevan the actor / voiceover artist / comedian. We'll take him there. This one we'll just run him as the director guy. This one here, he likes to paint quietly in the corner. And this one builds printer's trays. I don't know, but I find myself getting all caught up in one thing, and because I can't have my name attached to anything and it be rubbish. I cannot sleep for days. I start stressing. I'm a warrior. I worry a lot.
Brilliant, Bevan. It's great to see you. Thanks for coming in. We look forward to. I mean, this ad. Hopefully, they're going to be running it a lot.
I think so. Look, I hope that people don't get completely bored of it, because Mnet is very good at doing high rotation.
Sure.
It's a different story, you know, when you own your own airtime. But I think there's enough freak show value in this commercial for people to just stare at it like you could stare at a fish, just doing loops in a fishbowl, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I think, listen, what Disi said earlier, I mean, they rewound it 4 or 5 times just to watch it, you know.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely got the merit. It's definitely out there going, oh my word, look what actually has been done.
There it is.
And in my personal
very,
opinion,
very powerful.
I think that provided it's done correctly, and you've done it up to now, I think you've got a lot of life in Gary still. I think there's a lot of life in him.
I hope so. Look, this has opened another little door, because people are already starting to send me suggestions of very ludicrous scenes that I can see looking even more ludicrous. Look, we took a massive risk. I didn't know. I didn't know what would work, what wouldn't work, and I was very, very prepared, because you saw the scenes are very short, to just drop a scene that didn't work. But people are identifying every single scene every single time, and they seem to find it funny. So there it is.
I think you should do the opening of next year's Oscars in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I'll email them and see what they say.
And listen, we can't wait for the EPK. Please let us know when it's coming.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will.
Awesome. Bevan Cullinan over here. We're going to play it one more time because it is just so fantastic. It is available on YouTube as well, and you can watch it all over DSTV.
Oh,
and Mnet.
quickly before you go, the Facebook page is what?
On Facebook,
Yes.
it's just you just type in Gary the Tooth and then separate word fairy. But I think the one that I'm trying to grow, and this is an interesting thing about social media. People forget that in 2009, Twitter had only been alive for 3 years.
Yep.
South African uptake on Twitter was very, very slow. The saturation on South African kind of Twitter platforms, I think, really came to fruition just after the World Cup kind of era. And I'm trying to actually build Gary's, because there's about 180,000 someone on Facebook, but people don't like pages anymore. I mean, that's old news. You don't sit there with like, these are my favorite movies of all time, and these are my books I read, and these are people just don't do it anymore. So that's not really a must build. But I'm trying to. Twitter handle
is
at Gary Tooth Fairy.
Got you.
There we go. Brilliant.
That's funny, that one.
It's very good. Here we go. One more time. Thanks very much, Bevan.
Weekdays from 12 to 2 p.m. Central African Time.
Beautiful.
Gears with Sasha Martinengo on bulls.co.za.